it was like a machine. I was like, I'm going to write this and I'm going to write it now. So it took me 6 months. I grabbed all my journals. I threw everything in together. I would sit at a coffee shop, at a bar by myself, like at a library, outside. Any spare moment I had, I was just compiling everything I'd ever written and then changing it and editing it and making chapters. And within 6 months, it was done. It was like just something shifted in me. And I was like, you have to get this out. You have to do it now. Because if you don't do it now, you never will. And that healed me the most. Okay, well, my name is Sophia, and I'm a writer and a dancer. I work in arts education right now. So I work for a nonprofit and I program manage. So I work with kids from the age of 18 months to 22 years if they have disabilities. But my background is in dance. So I've been dancing since I was 3, and I still teach now when I get the chance. And then, of course, writing is a big part of my life too. Who am I? Oh, goodness. I am a very creative, introspective person, I would say. I'm a deep feeler. I'm a sensitive soul. Um, and I'm an artist. I just, whether it's decorating my apartment or what outfit I'm going to wear, just, I don't know, like I feel like it's just always like been in me and just like writing things down and like trying to romanticize life. And so, yeah. I think I'm just a creative, sensitive soul. On a scale of 1 to 10, how authentically are you living? Ooh! Okay. How authentically are you living right now, online and offline? That is good. That's really good. I'm going to give myself a solid 7. I think in the past, I have definitely, social media is a highlight reel, and I think I've definitely tried to portray myself as like having it all together and I'm just like the fun life of the party. um and then it got to a point where I was like, you know what, like kind of stripping that away. I don't really care what people think about me. And me and my best friend were just talking about that. We're like, we're so weird. Everybody's weird, but like, we're just so weird. And like, people don't want to be weird anymore. Like, they're just so worried about what everybody thinks, you know? And so I feel like I've gotten a lot more comfortable in my skin. And especially like being a mom, like, there's something very healing about like when I'm with him, he's 5, and it's just so playful. Like, it's like healing to my inner child, you know? So I feel like I've gotten a lot better at just being like authentically myself. And I think then presenting that online is a whole other thing. But I've become a lot less, like, I think in the past that I was trying to be very like curated and live a certain, and now I'm like, whatever, like, even just posting more about like how I feel, or um, not being afraid to share my opinions, or like not posting things. That's been a big thing for me too. I'm like, I don't always have to post and make it look like I live this aesthetic life and like I'm the cute single mom that has it all together. Um, because I'm really just trying to raise my child, and not all days are perfect, and he has tantrums and I have moments and I cry, and I don't want to paint a picture that's not real either. So I think I've tried to limit what I post as well. It's been a big one, but yeah, I would give myself a 7 out of 10 on a scale of authenticity online. And then I would probably say 9 out of 10 offline in real life. The one thing I'm working on is boundaries. That's a big one for me. So I think a big part of who I am is just like, I love so hard, and I'm very authentically me. Like, this is Sophia, this is what you're gonna get, and that's okay, like. But what I'm really trying to work on is not everybody has the capacity to hold like my love, I would say, or who I am. And for a while I was like, I'm just too much. I'm too much for everybody. I'm saying too much, or I'm being too much, or I'm doing the most, and now I'm like, no, I'm just me. And life is just way too short. So I'm working on that. I'm working on, if people don't have the ability to hold my depth, and my dad was telling me this the other day too. He was like, you're very profound and not everybody can hold that. And that's okay. So I'm working on being real with myself when it comes to that. I think that's a big one for me. But yeah, I've definitely grown a lot and become okay with just, this is me. Would you say you are a dancer who writes or a writer who dances? That's really good. I would say I'm a dancer who writes. That's tricky though, because I think in dance you have to have like talent, like it's just kind of in you, but also the training and you learn a lot. And writing has just always been like my best friend, you know? No one ever taught me, like, here's how you just write a good story, or here's how, you know? So that's a hard one, but yeah, I would say a dancer who writes. And I think both are so like interconnected because they're both ways that we talk. And one is just if I don't want to say it out loud, I can write it down and maybe look at it later. And if I don't want to say it out loud, I can just move and dance it out. So they're both language related, but I think dance was probably the thing that I knew I couldn't live without and I always had to do. Like I always had to be moving. And writing was something that sometimes I would like put it away if I couldn't really deal with all of that and like come back to it. So I always say like the darkest times in my life are either when I've got books filled up of words or I didn't write for like 2 years because I just couldn't deal, you know? That's a good question. You say that dance heals. How has dance healed you? That's really good too. I would say, I always say it's like dance is like a love-hate relationship because you feel so at war with, it's like a juxtaposition. You want to be confident and you want to show something of yourself. It's obviously you're on stage dancing for people. It's kind of like you can't hide in dance, but at the same time, it can break you down so much. Like it was the source of so much of my confidence, but then also like it caused a lot of like disordered eating and a lot of body issues. And so I always say like, dance is the one thing that has healed me the most, but it's also the one thing that exposed me so much to actually like a lot of pain, I would say. But I was able to use dance at the lowest point in my life as a way to reclaim like my power, I would say, and to heal my relationship with my body. And it's a very vulnerable thing. And I just remember, like, if I couldn't sleep at night, it would be 2 a.m. I would just, when I lived in downtown Pittsburgh, I would just leave my apartment, walk down the 2 blocks, and I would go to the studio. And I would just dance if I couldn't sleep. Like, dance was my friend. It was just always there. No judgment. I'm just moving. I'm just playing music. Like, music is so healing. Moving is so healing. Like, I still, like, dance all the time just for myself. Yoga, everything movement related. It's just so healing and grounding. And it's given me a safe place to land, I think. It was the first time that I actually talked about what had happened to me was in a rehearsal my sophomore year of college. So it was with one of my professors. And I remember I hadn't ever said it out loud to anybody for probably about 2 years. And we were talking, and all of a sudden I just started, because he asked a question, I think it was something along the lines of like, you know, who are you and what makes you? And I just started blurting it out. Next thing I know, the whole room is crying, everybody's sharing their stories. And I was like, wow, dance really is such a safe space full of people who are so human. And I've just sometimes found myself in the more challenging parts of it where that's very competitive, very judgmental, you know, you can never be good enough. Um, yeah, that was like a long answer, but I would say to sum it up, dance has healed me by allowing me to express things that I was not ready to talk about. And then, of course, it was in a dance studio that I actually was able to start talking about it. Yeah, it's just home to me. Dance is home. Like, I need to be moving all the time. Talk to me about We Are the Murder Victims Who Lived. What is the story behind the memoir? Was writing this a healing experience for you? That's really good. So I found the quote by Kurt Cobain, which was um, rape victims are something like they have to live with something, or it's worse than murder because they actually have to live. And so I was like, you know what, that's what I'm going to title my book. So that's where the title came from. But the story was basically a compilation of journal entries I had written over the span of like 3 years. So I was 18 when it happened to me. And I immediately started writing about it, but I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents, like nobody really knew. I was very ashamed, but I always wrote about it like every night. And I would just pray, like, just let another day pass, let another day pass, because I can't live with this. But if time goes fast, like maybe 5 years from now, I'll be okay. So every day I would just kind of write down what I was feeling, and that just like despair, essentially, and the shame, because I couldn't say it out loud. So I was a senior in college, and I went back and I had like 7 journals. And all of a sudden I had this idea, what if I just all put it in to a book? And am I brave enough to do that? Like, can I put it out there for people to read? That is really revealing. And it's a heavy topic. And I don't know if people can hold that. Um, but something in me, I really can't explain it. Something in me was like, it was like a machine. I was like, I'm going to write this and I'm going to write it now. So it took me 6 months. I grabbed all my journals. I threw everything in together. I would sit at a coffee shop, at a bar by myself, like at a library, outside. Any spare moment I had, I was just compiling everything I'd ever written and then changing it and editing it and making chapters. And within 6 months, it was done. It was like, just something shifted in me, and I was like, you have to get this out. You have to do it now, because if you don't do it now, you never will. And that healed me the most. My one therapist, she would always say, like, secrets keep you sick, but you think they keep you safe. And I realized everything that I had been holding inside of me, like, there is so much power in being able to talk about what you've been through. And it doesn't mean that you're living back in that place and that it's claimed your life and your identity. It's not who I am, but it is what happened to me. And I get to dictate how that narration goes. I get to reclaim it. I get to tell my story when I'm ready. I can talk about it because I didn't do anything wrong, you know? So writing that was the most healing, my senior year of college. That was, I'll never forget. And I was just, for the first time, I just wasn't afraid. I was like, yeah, I'm going to put it out there. And 6 months, it was fast. And I basically just wrote, I didn't want it to focus on all of the doom and gloom. Like, I didn't want it to be all about everything that had happened. And I didn't want to give him any more of what he had already taken from me, essentially. So I did write about what happened, and it's pretty graphic. And I was like, you know what? But like, F you, like, you're gonna like read what happened to me, because this is what I've had to live with. So yeah, it might be a lot to digest, but I put it all out there. And then the overall theme of this story is just not just surviving, but like truly living, and just like that there is like redemption in that. Like, you can live a very full life no matter what happens to you. So that was kind of the story behind it, was obviously living with the shame of being sexually assaulted. But the way that my family, my friends, my spirituality, everything in my life, dance, the way that I've healed, the people I've come into contact with, I just wanted to empower people that have been through it like me. So again, another long answer for you, but what do you hope people take away from reading We Are the Murder Victims Who Lived? So that kind of goes with what I said. I want people to know that no matter what happens to you, you can live the most full life imaginable. You can live with purpose. You don't have to live back in that place and be a victim of all the horrible things that have happened to you. I think that it's the stories of everything that makes us up, the good and the bad, the things that happened when we were kids, when we were teenagers, all the things we've seen and done. That's our humanity. That's what makes us truly people. And it's worth celebrating that I was able to come out of this and have a beautiful life. And it's not perfect. And, you know, I always say, like, I've literally done like 20% of what I want to do. Like, I'm not there yet. But 9 years ago, I literally did not think life was worth living. So I've lived 9 years since then, you know? So I want people to know that even though life has probably done you dirty, and you didn't deserve what happened to you, um, you can come out of it and meet other people who are just like you, and healing is possible. Like we were just talking about, healing is so possible, and it is such a beautiful thing to reclaim your life. Because if I lived as a shell of myself, then he wins. And I always say that. I'm like, then he wins. So he didn't just take from me one night, he took everything, I don't want to be that. I want to be fully Sophia, like 100%. And I want people to feel that way too. I just want people to feel empowered. What is your favorite thing about being a mother? I love that. So, as you can tell, lots of sexual trauma there. And I was 21 when I found out I was pregnant. I got in a very, very horrible relationship. And it was kind of all the after effects of what I'd been through, I think. I never healed that part of myself. Intimacy and men and feeling like I always had to prove myself and beg to be chosen. And so it was very, very revealing to me when suddenly I have this life that I am fully 100% responsible for, and I'm not fully healed, like very exposing. And when I gave birth, it was my mom in the delivery room. And I looked at her and I was like, what if I don't love him? Like, what if I don't love my son? She was like, honey, you are the most loving person I've ever met. Like, that is going to be your person. You are going to love him. And he comes out and they lay him on my chest. And I'm like, I love him. I love him. He's perfect. Like, it's a love I have never experienced in my life. And I honestly don't think, like my family, of course, my friends, I've loved people, but I've never experienced like a true, pure love, like just an unconditional love with a partner or anything. And having a son, it's like, whoa, like I would give my life for you. Like I love you so much. And I think my favorite part about that is, again, in my healing journey, I've come so far because I'm not afraid to be soft. I'm not afraid to be nurturing. I'm not afraid to be loving. It's like he literally is my mirror and reflects back to me all the good in me and all the good in the world, but then also all the parts of me that I'm like, whoa, like you're just so pure and you're so like loving, and he sees the world in this just like, it's just so like he hasn't been jaded by life yet. So I'm like, oh, I just want to see the eyes through, see the world through the eyes of Elio. It's just the purest love. And yeah, like I was talking about earlier, my the inner child work, when you're raising a child and you're just like laughing and coloring with chalk and we're cooking together and all of these things that are so small, but it's like, wow, like even these little day-to-day things are so beautiful. I love it. It's my favorite. It is literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. He is my everything. If your future self was here right now, what would she say to you? What would she tell you to stop holding back? Ooh, that's good. If my future self was here right now, she would probably say, you really need to stop giving yourself to people who do not have the capacity to hold you, like I was saying earlier. I always say it's okay to give your love to people without giving all of yourself, and then you're left with nothing. So I feel like I've gotten to a place now where I can put up those boundaries and guard my heart without removing it. I don't have to be cold. That's not powerful to me. I thought for many years, like I needed to be cold and I needed to just, not care and cut people off, and nobody can affect me. Nobody can faze me. I feel nothing. There's a lot of beauty in feeling all your feelings, feeling all the things. And I feel everything, and that's okay. So I think she would tell me it's okay to feel everything that you feel, but if not everybody can hold that, that's okay too. You don't have to give so much of yourself to everybody all the time. You can love yourself first and move from a place of self-love and awareness and hold the boundaries and That's just something I'm working on, I think, because I just want to help everybody and I want to fix people. And it's like, no, like I can't fix people. So I think she would probably say, stop trying to fix everybody. Love yourself. And what would she tell you to stop holding back? I think my future self would probably tell me, because I feel like I have had no luck in the romance department, and just whoa, it is like, whoa, I thought I was healed, and then I meet somebody and I'm like, maybe I'm not as healed as I thought I was. I think she would tell me that I am deserving and I need to believe it. Otherwise, it's like that saying where if you're like chasing after something, like with like, I don't know what it is, I'm gonna butcher it, but like you can't receive with a closed fist type vibe. So if you're chasing, it's just gonna go further away from you. And I have been chasing and chasing and chasing. I think she would tell me to stop chasing and start receiving. I chase, or no, I attract, I don't chase. Me right now. And I think she would tell me to stop being afraid of being seen, and that I'm worthy of receiving that type of love that I've always imagined. And that I am holding myself back from it by probably trying so hard to find it when all I need to do is just be. What's the biggest lesson life is teaching you right now? What are you learning to love about yourself? Oh, okay. I would say I am learning to love about myself how open I am. I am like very open with my feelings and my emotions, and I'm not afraid. I'll be like, I care about you, or I love you, or, like and I mean it. I'm not afraid to show people who I am. And I'm learning to love that, because for the longest time I did think it was like to my demise. I would always say like how deeply I feel and how much I care is such a curse as well as it is a blessing, because I have such a heart for people. And if you tell me your story and I just want to like scoop you up and hug you and save you, and I know I can't do that, but I think I'm starting to really embrace that there's nothing wrong with being soft. There's nothing wrong with being loving. And it actually is quite a reflection, I think, of my healing process and the fact that I am healed enough to be able to, here's how I feel, And that goes along with that first question you asked me about authenticity. This really is the first time in my life where I'm like, I'm really not afraid to tell you how I feel. If I'm hurt, I'm hurt. If I'm this, I'm this. How do you feel, And I think that openness probably does freak a lot of people out. But again, like life is just too short. And for the longest time, I was like, oh, I hate this about myself. I need to play it cool and be more guarded and be more like, I don't care. But caring is cool, And I think I'm learning to love that about myself. And then the biggest lesson that life is teaching me right now, I would say the biggest lesson is what I just said before, which is you can't receive with a closed fist. So all of the chasing and trying and trying and trying and trying to prove myself and going after what I want, but to the point of where I'm not sitting back and allowing myself to just receive. If it's meant for me, it will be. Whoever's meant to be in my life will come into my life. Just like this, it's like whatever is meant for you, you won't miss it. And I'm really trying to embody that, because I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in fate and things happening for a reason. And I've learned plenty of lessons, And when I look back, I'm like, how much of that was self-inflicted? How much of that did you cause because you were trying to make something fit that you knew was not meant to fit? The door was continuing to slam in your face and you were just trying to open it again. Let me in, let me in. And that's not the point of life. That's not the point. Everything that happens is meant to happen. And if a door is meant to open, it won't be easy, or it will be easy. It won't be hard to walk through. So I think I'm learning that right now, to just be at peace, to be okay with not having to be on the move all the time. Like I can just be me and be at peace with that and allow things that are meant to come into my life to come, and everything will happen in time the way it's meant to happen. And that is really hard for me because I am like a control freak when it comes to that. But I'm like, I release the control. I release it because I've crashed and burned plenty of times. I don't have to do that anymore, you know? And that's a very freeing feeling. How has it felt to be seen in the hot seat today? I was so, I'm literally blanking out. Yeah. Biggest takeaway. Any final thoughts? I would say you have really made me feel very safe today, which speaks a lot to who you are.
Thank you.
You have made me feel safe and seen, and it's like, you know, being a present person and being able to hold eye contact with me, like, you have been an amazing listener. We don't even know each other, and I feel so, like, I just feel the energy, like the vibe, like I just feel like you are the most safe, understanding person. This was a lot safer than I thought it would be. I was so scared. I'm like, there's a camera. I'm terrified. So it wasn't as scary as I thought.
I'm glad to hear that.
It was, yeah. You're wonderful. And I would say my biggest takeaway is that we all have a story. And our stories, even though they might be rooted in something really traumatic, they're worth sharing and they're worth telling. It's what connects us as people. It doesn't have to be the thing that you root your identity in. I am not what happened to me. I am how I reacted to it. I am the life that I lived after it. And I want people to know that too, to be empowered, that they don't have to be a victim of life, even if they were victimized. That you can survive, you can thrive, you can live. There are things worth doing and worth seeing. And 9 years ago, I never would have thought that. When I was laying in bed, I couldn't sleep at night and there was nothing good in sight. Nothing. And now I'm like, I laugh. I love. I have memories that I make. I experience things. I do things that scare me. And it's worth being here to come out on the other side. And it takes a lot of work. It is not easy. You were just telling me about your healing journey. The amount of bravery that takes to be so vulnerable, to open yourself up to, it's like you have to face the past in order to move on from it. But at the same time, you don't want to live back in that place because there's nothing good for you back there. So how to find that balance of healing is so important to living a full life, but it is so attainable. And I am living proof of that. And I just want people to know that. I want people to be empowered. And any final thoughts? I would say for the first time in my life, I am really proud of myself. And I have a little picture on my bathroom mirror of myself when I was like 5 years old because my therapist told me to do this. And in the morning, I'll look at her and I'll be like, okay, we did good. We did good. And I would say if you have like a little picture of yourself as a kid or anything, like talk to yourself sometimes and be like, you did good. You're doing good. You're doing it. You survived. And that's a big one for me, I think, is just being proud of myself. It's so hard to do because we're all so hypercritical of ourselves and comparative. But you made it here and you have a lot to be proud of. And so do I. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.